Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. My name is Lindsay, and this is Life with Lindsay. Today, we have a WIP Chat. If you do not know what a WIP Chat is, that is when I work on my current WIP, WIP, which is work in progress. You can pull out whatever it is that you are working on and work alongside with me. I will be working on Fathoms Below for Mandie's mind-blowing May event hosted by Crafting with Susie. I will link the unboxing for this video up in the eye if you'd like to see that. If you are new here, let me get my pen so I don't lose track of things. If you are new here, hi, welcome. My name is Lindsay. I do mainly diamond painting and some other crafting related content, and I would just love for you to like, subscribe, hit the bell, hop aboard the Hot Mess Express. Let's be friends. If you've been here before, hi, welcome back. So if you are unfamiliar with WIP Chats, I will work on my WIP. You can do whatever you want to do. You can work on your own WIP. You can work on a craft project. You can work on a household project. You can stream while you're driving, while you're working, while you're avoiding work, while you're hanging out, while you're doing laundry, whatever it is you want to do. There is no right way or wrong way to WIP Chat. You guys, I am so excited. I'm going to start my timer. This is my first time sitting down to diamond paint in days. We had a very busy last couple days. For anybody who is watching this in current time, yesterday when I'm filming, but anyway, was Mother's Day. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there in any capacity: birth mothers, stepmothers, adoptive mothers, people who are yearning to be mothers, people who have lost children, people who have strained relationships with their children, people who have a strained relationship with their mother. Whatever the circumstances are, I hope that you had a wonderful time. I know it can be a really difficult day for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. So I hope that whatever you did, that you surrounded yourself with love and you felt loved and appreciated. I spent the weekend traveling, and I would just like to say, anyone who lives in New York in here, please tell me, are all of your rest areas awful? Like, okay, I know I'm like jumping ahead way in the week, but seriously, the amount of rest areas that we passed on the highway that was like, no sanitation, no water, no food and drink. And I'm like, what do you have then? What's the point of a rest area if I can't stop and rest? And it would be funny. It would be, you know, if it was out of the blue, it was just like one of them, but it was literally like one after another after another. I have to sneeze. Hold on. I'm really glad I paused that because I just sneezed a bunch of times in a row. Anyway, but seriously, like, this is not me like trying to be cutesy, but like, are all of the rest areas in New York on the highway awful? If you are from New York or you often drive through New York, let me know down below. Oh God, now I'm all, I don't know what it is. My daughter was sneezy this morning. I'm sneezing right now. But anyway, this is my first time back in my craft center, in my craft room in days. I'll let you guys know all the details of our weekend, but holy moly, my butt, I didn't take my butt pillow. If you guys didn't know, I fell ice skating in like December and I injured my tailbone. And so sitting in a car for that many hours was not a wise choice. Not even a little bit. And now I'm like, why did I leave all the 310 undone on this? And that's, now I'm remembering because I wanted to film a reel with that before I went on our trip. So that's probably not going to happen now that I'm filming a WIP Chat. But anyway, I'm just here to tell you guys what we did. Hope you guys had a lovely week and weekend and whatever you did to keep yourselves busy and occupied. I hope that it was enjoyable for you. So last WIP Chat, I ended up not being able to tell you guys about our Sunday, so I'll start there. We did a lot of things this week in preparation. I'm sorry, we did a lot of things last week in preparation for this past weekend. Like I said, we had a trip. We went out of town, out of state. We went to Target to do a pickup order on Sunday. And my daughter... Did you guys get the, not Target, Amazon winter catalog this past year? We got ours, and my daughter the one from the year before, she like held on to that thing for a very long time. So she had been thumbing through it, and like every little kid, I want this, oh, I really want this, oh my gosh, this is my favorite. And we don't celebrate Christmas in our house, so it wasn't like, okay, let's put something together for your Christmas list. I just let her kind of explore it and do what she wants to do, and then I look up the things she's telling me she likes. So she really wanted, it was this baby Rapunzel doll, and it came with a baby carrier, a pacifier, a baby bottle, and then Pascal, which is the little chameleon. And when I tell you, this thing has been in my Amazon cart since last, I think, October. Interestingly enough, when we looked it up, it said it was currently unavailable and they were just like awaiting restock. And then it turned into one of those like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure this was discontinued and they don't want to say that. So we signed up for the email alert to let us know when it was official. Even though I already placed the order for it, I didn't get charged for anything because there was nothing to charge me for yet. So we've been eyeing it. And I've noticed that the other princesses, I think there's one that's also like that, but the other ones are all available. So I think this particular one just was more popular than they expected it to be, or something along those lines. Anyway, long story short, I said to my husband, okay, you know what? She every now and then will say, hey, Mommy. Yes, Bean. Do you think that baby Punzel is gonna be available anytime soon? And she's been asking for it, but so patiently asking for it and being so like sweet about it. And so there is a version at Target. I think it's also at Walmart, and it's an older version, so it doesn't come with the baby carrier and it doesn't come with the Pascal. But it's the baby doll, and then the bottle and the pacifier. And we decided it would be a great idea to get it in time for our trip. And I did a Walmart, like, drive-up order. So they brought it right to the car. And later in the week, I actually put it in her car seat. So the first thing she would see when she got out of ice skating was the baby Rapunzel, and then it was the new thing to keep her occupied for our long road trip. But she was just, most kids are not patient in general. It's not the nature of a child, and most kids are not patient with something they really want, especially something they've been wanting for a long time. So, you know, the fact that she kept asking for it, but was never pushy about it, was never mean or aggressive about it. It was always just like a sweet little note of concern of like, Mommy, is that still unavailable? Mommy? And, you know, so I bought her a little doll baby carrier from Amazon, and then I got her the baby Rapunzel, and it was, as the kids would say, it was a hit. I don't know if the kids would say that. I said that. I now realize that a lot of things I'm working on are probably out of frame, so I do apologize. I'm working on a pretty big area. I don't really have all that much left above this. And then I have this little section over here, and I am using an actual, what are these called? Release paper that I got in a diamond painting kit from another company that made my skin crawl. The paper is not the kit. Sorry, I had to take a sip. It's like very weird texture. I don't even remember what kit that was. Maybe that was Star Wars? I don't know. Anyhow, so that's what we did on Sunday. We picked her up, and then we had to make a trip over to the craft store for my husband, which, by the way, babe, if you don't know, your stuff's still hanging on the stairs.
What stuff? Your
fur stuff.
Okay.
So my husband has a custom. If you guys don't know, my husband does custom Funko Pops. And I don't know why I have that much of that color out. Okay, well, I guess we're working on this color right now. He needed to make a fur coat, so we had to go and get, like, Not real fur, but something we could use to emulate a fur coat. Cool, no problem. I feel like I have a bunch of colors just out missing right now. I'm very discombobulated at the moment, you guys. So anyway, we went over to Michael's, and then my husband was like, oh crap, Michael's isn't where I wanted to go, it's Joann's. We went over to Joann's. Now mind you, this is like right before close for both of them, and we're scrambling to get what we need, but we got it, and Briar was like, well, aren't we getting anything for me? Nah, girl, we're coming here for daddy, for work stuff. Like, we're not coming here to play. Oh my God. Don't ever take a child to a craft store if you're not planning on getting them crafting materials of any sort, because it was like, you guys are torturing me. It's like, girlfriend, no, we're not. This, my friend, is not torture. I really don't want to work on this color right now. Maybe I should just put this color away and come back to it. Sigh. I really might. I think I'm going to put this away. This is welcome to my world. Anyway, so that was our Sunday. So Monday started off like a normal Monday, you know. We went to school. We had to go to the market to get some stuff. My husband has a medication that they... Goddamn. Sorry, you guys. I'm a mess. That they screwed up. Totally accidental. It wasn't a big deal, but it was one of those things that we had to like wait for like the pharmacy to fix it. And so we ended up getting that taken care of and then going and picking that up. I'm seeing what colors I need for this little section right here. Don't mind me, you guys. So we had to go there, and then we had to get like one thing for food wise. Sorry, I'm probably changing everything out of frame. I don't even care. Although, knock on wood, I have a feeling that my light pad is starting to like wear out because I had trouble turning it on today, which is not typical for us. Do I have any more of this color or just this one little drill? Because if I don't need you, I will put you away. Away. Anyway, we did that. And then we went over to Arby's for lunch after we picked her up from school. It's just the drive-thru. It was something simple. My daughter made a comment the one day about how Arby's is her absolute favorite restaurant. And my husband and I were like, what? Like, girl, what do you even eat at Arby's? Not that she doesn't eat anything at Arby's, but it was like, how is that your favorite restaurant? So my husband did like an online order, and you have to go inside to pick up Arby's. You can't pick it up through the drive-thru. We've learned that the hard way. And so he gets out of the car. I'm in the car with Briar, and he goes inside. And about a minute after he gets out of the car and he's walking in, Mommy, yes, Briar, I have to go potty. And I'm like, are you serious? You know when the perfect time would have been to tell us you had to go potty? When Daddy was getting out of the car to go into the store. Well, I have to go potty, and I have to go potty now. And I'm like, cool. So, meanwhile, I'm like turning off the car because, you know, Brian left the car running because he was running in to get the food, and that's what I would have done. And as he's coming back out, he's like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, yeah, she has to pee, you know. So we took her inside. I took her to pee. Mind you, we are 5 minutes away from home, but she couldn't hold it. We have a rule that she has to use the potty at school every time she's at school. And part of it is because she was coming out of school and not telling us until, like, we start driving away from school or we're a minute away from home that I have to go potty and I have to go potty now because she's been holding it in all day and not using the toilet. So it was one of those like moments, and I was like, all right, let's do this. And I don't know like what kids' fascination with public bathrooms are. Maybe it's just mine. But I'm like, oh my God, can you please just hurry up? Like, don't touch anything. Like, I am one of those people, the older I get, the less I like public places. The less I like people, the less I like going places, the less I like being in public places. And I'm like, cool. Like, don't touch anything. And she's just like, no. It's like when you have a really extroverted kid and you're an introvert, you're just like, I don't want to people today. I'm definitely an introverted extrovert. Or is it an extrovert introvert? I don't know. Anyway, we're moving on. So we did that. The next day was Tuesday, and Tuesday we have Tots. So we went to Tots, and she was doing really good. Sometimes during group lessons, she struggles to comprehend that it is not a private lesson. It is not all about you. Indeed, it is a group lesson. And you have to do what's being asked of you, and you have to skate to your best ability, and it's not like the Briar show. Sorry, I feel like my nose is running, and I don't know why. I mean, I know I just sneezed a few minutes ago, maybe that's why. But she did really good. And we have some days at the group lessons where she just doesn't want to put in any effort and gets mad that, like, the coach doesn't pay 100% attention to her. And we've explained, like, a group lesson is a group lesson. A private lesson is a private lesson. They're two different things. They serve different purposes, and we do both of them. And come this summer, we're actually going to be upping the amount of group lessons, so that'll be interesting. We're picking up a all ages group over the summer. So there's that. We'll see how that goes. But with school ending, and tell me if you guys are like this, I have a child who needs structure, and whether she craves it or not, she needs it. And when you take away, even though my kid was only going to school like 9 hours a week, when you take away the set schedule of on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we go to school from this time to this time, and this is what we do on Monday after school. This is what we do Tuesday in between school. This is what we do Friday after school. Like, it takes all of that routine away, and I'm really nervous about that. So part of the reason of signing her up for another class over the summer was to give her added structure. And it sucks because, like, I have no idea what's going on with kindergarten, and I'm not going to find anything out for like a couple months. And, you know, it's like, it's hard to prepare a child who struggles with transitions when you don't know what the next step is. And it's very annoying. That's another story for another day, though. So anybody who has full day kindergarten where you live, shout out to you. I'm jealous. I am very, very jealous. But anyway, so we had Tots. And then after Tots, okay. So we were going to our niece's college graduation over the weekend. That's what the big trip was all about. And I had purchased this yellow and white dress from Amazon, and I was like, oh, this is gorgeous. I'm not normally like a yellow person, but this was beautiful. Where is my straightener? Thanks, drill. Sorry, I'm trying to like shift these down because I think I'm placing them too high. And so I said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to wear my yellow and white dress. Briar's going to wear her yellow and white dress. That was issue number 1. Of course, I looked in her drawer, and yellow and white dress was now 4 years old. I did not realize that we'd had it that many years, and it was too small. It was like a baby-sized dress. My bad. But because I was wearing a yellow and white dress, I needed to have a nude bra. So I'm sitting there in the kitchen, and I'm helping getting her ready for the day. And I'm like, what is this sharp stabbing? And then I realized the underwire had snapped in my only nude bra that I own days before our trip. So I couldn't order anything online. It wouldn't get there in time. I mean, could I have ordered one from Amazon? Yes, but I wouldn't know if it would work. And, you know, not every sizing is consistent. God forbid women's clothing is consistent in sizing no matter what it is. So I was super, like, frantic and frustrated. And my girlfriend told me, she's like, well, the one bra brand at Target I find runs generous, and she's like, they carry them in store. You can do like a pickup order. And I was like, okay. So I placed an order at Target, and I placed an order at Torrid. Neither one of these are particularly close to me. Torrid's like 35 minutes away, maybe more, and Target is like 25 minutes away. So I was like, I'm gonna place both because God forbid one gets canceled, or, you know, whatever, because I didn't order the one time, and like my entire order got canceled because somebody came in and purchased the item off the shelf before they had a chance to pull it. That was fun. And I was like, I can't like, I literally went and purchased my daughter a new yellow and white dress to still match mommy for the party. I didn't go through all of this to not be able to wear the yellow and white dress. You know what I mean? And I'm super mad at myself. I got a total of 0 photos taken the entire time in our matching dresses, in my dress alone. I was going to take one in our hotel room, but it had the worst lighting on the planet. We'll talk about the hotel if I have time to talk about the hotel. But anyway, so the orders both went through, and the orders were both available for pickup. So I was like, okay, we got to figure out how to do this. And I ended up, after Tots, we went to Chili's for lunch, and across the street from Chili's is Target. So, is that when I did my Target pickup? No, that's probably when I got the overalls. We were at Target like 3 times this week. Maybe it was the day. No, it wasn't. I lied. Just ignore me. So we went in. I got the overalls from the Pride collection. I'm pretty sure I talked about that on my Instagram stories. Super, super cute. If you guys are interested in any pair of overalls, like, I highly recommend. They were really, really cute. They were cute on. They were generous in sizing. And I loved them. And then after we came home, after doing all the errands and having lunch and all that stuff, we did one of those, like, paint your own crafts. Why do I feel like I'm just, like, moving at a snail's pace over here? Because I am. That's why I feel like it. Let me see something. I'm going to multitask. I know some people get frustrated by that, but I don't really like working on the edges of a diamond painting. Anybody else like that? Like, I'd rather just work, like, in the middle part, but then you still have to do the outside. Then I get in weird, awkward angles. Anyway, I'm just gonna shut up and keep telling you guys tell you about my life. I'm very distracted today, and I do not know why. Like, way more than normal. So anyway, we did these little paint your own craft things, and Briar wanted to give one to her grandmother for Mother's Day. She wanted to keep one for herself, and she wanted to make one for her grandfather. And then it was, well, I want to keep this one for myself, and I'll give this one to Grandma. Well, I'm going to give this one to Grandpa instead. And I'm like, all right, girl, just make a decision and stick with it. Like, I don't care who you're giving them to, just make that choice. And then, lo and behold, she forgot to give it to her grandmother anyway, so it didn't even matter. What else? That was a really great day. And then, after dinner, which we made something at home, I don't remember, we went out and got ice cream. And it was really, really lovely. And the owner of the restaurant, he kept double checking for us if things had, artificial coloring in it or not. And then we just sat outside. It was a beautiful day. And we've been explaining to our daughter, and this is, like, true for every child, like, in existence, but the more you whine and complain and cry and throw tantrums over wanting something, the less likely it's going to be that I'm going to give it to you, or we're going to go there, or whatever, you know, your thing is. So if you're having a really great day and you're not complaining that you're not getting whatever it is that you want, and guess what? Little surprises like going to get ice cream are going to happen. And she was really excited about it. We had it was a really lovely day. Like, it was one of the best days we've had in a while. And it wasn't anything like knock your socks off exceptional, but it was a lovely, lovely day. And just, it was really good behavior. And, she's just, it was just a great day. You guys, you know what I'm talking about when you just have that great day, right? So, next day was another school day. We went for a post office run. Oh, excuse me. And then we went to go to our regular lunch spot. We usually go on Mondays, but we didn't go on Monday. We pulled up, and I was like, I don't know if this looks promising or not. There were a couple spots open, but it just seemed busy, and it was like a half-hour wait, and I was like, okay, we don't have that time, because I had an appointment scheduled for myself. And of course that was confusing to Briar, because she's like, well, what do you mean we can't eat here? I want to wait. And I'm like, we don't have time to wait because mommy has to go. So we ended up at just a pizza joint down the street, and it worked out fine. Just, you know, grabbed a slice of pizza, something quick. Although her slice of pizza took the longest. Like, my husband got chicken tenders, And mozzarella sticks, that came out first. Okay, sure, it's in the fryer. But I'm like, they're not making her a pizza. They just cut a slice from the pizzas they have. So I was very confused why her food came out after everybody else's. But after that, I dropped them off. And then I drove myself over to the spa. You guys, I have not had a real, like, massage in a very, very, very long time. My husband and I have been talking about going, like, while she was at school, but it was hard to find places locally that, like, we could get in and out of in time to pick our daughter up from school. And now school's almost over, so it was a wasted opportunity. But I was like, you know what? I'm about to be sitting in the car for a bajillion hours. I just want to treat myself to something nice just for me. And my husband was like, yeah, go for it. So I did. Literally booked it the night before at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was amazing. You guys, I needed that. My body needed that. It felt nice to be pampered. And it felt nice to treat myself. If anybody ever watched Parks and Recs, like, I literally was sitting in the waiting area, and all I could hear was Donna and Tom going, treat yourself. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just look up that clip. It's cute. Anyway, so it was just really, really lovely. But because of the time that I scheduled it, I was in a bit of a time crunch. And it's only ever a situation like when I have, God damn, Lindsay, when I have something scheduled, you know, like, otherwise we would have been able to wait the time. I need to replace this tip. Look at this, you guys. Can you see that? Stop focusing on the background phone. Cool. I have a whole, like, bin of these. If anybody is like, what are those? These are the tips. Dreamer Design sends these with their kits. They're really good for A/B drills or special drills. But I just have this on the other end of my 3-placer. So if I'm using my 3-placer and I need a single, I just use this. But I also use this for my ABs and stuff like that. But you guys, I had such a lovely time. I had so much fun. I would love to be able to have, like, a day like that with my husband. But that won't be able to happen until our kid is probably one of the weeks that she's at camp. That would be nice. Maybe we could try to schedule a massage day while she's at camp. I don't know. For the whole 2 weeks of the summer, she was going to go to camp. I was hoping to sign her up for more camps, and then, isn't it always the way, like, you have a big financial commitment to something, and then random bills that generate, like, we got a bill a while ago for something from a year and a half earlier. My daughter had a procedure done, and they charged us for the anesthesia separately from the hospital stay and the doctor's bills and all that other stuff. But it literally took a year and a half for them to bill me for that. And I was like, what the F? Of course I had to pay it because, like, you know, what, am I just not going to pay it? It was so frustrating. Anyway, but that always keeps happening to us. Like, we were talking about getting her room redone, which I have huge plans for her room. I just got to find a place locally that carries what I'm looking for in person so I can make sure I can do what I want. Which isn't that always the conundrum. You have an idea, but you need to be able to, like, make it work. But yeah, so I went and had my massage, and then I stopped at Giant, which is right next door. Giant's a grocery store. And I needed to get a rotisserie chicken. My husband was making a soup that was a chicken orzo lemon soup. And if you guys don't know, I don't really do chicken. Every once in a blue moon, I'll do chicken. But a lot of times he'll get a rotisserie chicken because it's already done. It makes everything easier. And I'm okay with that. Like, if I told you, like, if I never ate chicken again, I wouldn't be sad. Like, I just don't like chicken. So, anyway, I ran in there, and I saw one of my girlfriends and her son at checkout, and we were chatting for a little bit, and then she's like, well, we've got ice cream, so we got to get going, and I was like, oh, no problem. But it was nice to run into somebody, you know, and she was telling me, she's like, we never go to the grocery store anymore. We just do everything, you know, pick up. But I guess they needed something specific, and whatever. But we're both getting to the point where our kids are like, we're too big for shopping carts. Our kids are a month apart. And, like, I'm dreading. The thing is, she is definitely getting too big for the shopping cart. And I have no problem with taking her out of the shopping cart. The problem is, and I know this is going to sound like I want to leash my child, but that's not what I'm trying to say here. Briar has no safety awareness and no impulse control, like none. And we're talking like if I put her down in a parking lot to close the door to the car, her immediate instinct is to run towards the parking lot, to run towards the cars. And it's not because she's trying to hurt herself. It's not anything like that. She just has like no awareness and no impulse control. And it is exhausting because then you have to quick, stop and pivot, and it's impossible to get groceries when you're constantly having to wrangle a child around. Okay, cool. That's fine. I get it. So a lot of times we do the groceries while she's at school or when she's not around just to make it easier. 100% just put away a color that I was not done with. Cool. And it's just like, I can't leash her to the car or to the cart, like it's not something I can do. But I also, if my husband and I are there together, it would be a little bit easier because one of us can push the cart while the other one is like holding her hand. But we are definitely getting to the point now where it's like, it's going to be more difficult for us to go and do groceries with her. And I know there are some people out there who are going to be like, well, she needs to learn. Well, yeah, she does need to learn, but, you can't change how your brain was wired, that's why things like autism don't cure themselves over time. ADHD doesn't, it's really interesting. Let's talk about ADHD for like a split second here. I remember when I was younger and I was diagnosed with ADHD, I was like 4 or 5 years old. I was younger than her, or younger than she is now, I should say. And I was diagnosed, and I just remember being told, like, most people grow out of this as an adult. And as a kid, I thought, oh, okay, cool, I'll grow out of this one day, news alert, I did not grow out of it. But here's what I don't understand. Who is growing out of it? Is it that they're growing out of it, or that they're learning the skills and they're able to manage it better themselves with medication, with tips and tricks and things like that? Because your brain doesn't, like, the mapping doesn't change. So I still look back at that and I'm like, why do we tell people that? Or do we still tell people that? I don't know. But obviously that's not the case, because there's a huge rush of all these, especially women, being diagnosed with ADHD later in life, like in their 30s and older, that their whole life they were just told that they were lazy, or, all these things. If you guys don't know, if you guys only have knowledge of what like ADHD is by when they give the examples of like the super hyperactive boys who are just like running and destroying everything. And I'm going to get off this real quick, because I know for people who this is not their world, it's not interesting to them. But a lot of women, or people who were assigned female at birth, a lot of women have that hyperactivity inside their brain. So while it may not be an outward burst of energy, the brain never stops. It doesn't shut off. There's 18 million things. It's like those things where it's like, you have your computer on and there's a million tabs, but none of them are working. Like, that's what it's like. You're just, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and my brain's saying this, and it's all the time. Like, it never quiets unless you're on medication and it works for you. Like, it is all the time. Then you can have a combined type where you are physically, outwardly hyperactive, and you have the inattentive in your own head. And so for so many girls, especially the girls who grew up in the 90s, you were just quirky and weird. It was never, oh, well, it's because she has ADHD, because the criteria is made for boys, and it didn't show itself that way in girls. And so obviously the criteria has been adjusted, and now people are able to express a little bit better. But that was my tangent on ADHD. I don't know, but you can't just change your brain mapping. So like, if you have poor impulse control and your brain is wired that way, you can't just like, okay, now I have better impulse control. Like, that's not how it works. Anywho, so I got my rotisserie chicken, ran into my friend. The next day was Thursday. So Thursday was our one and only day off that we had. We were set to have another riding lesson, but they texted me and let me know that their kids passed along a stomach bug and they would have to cancel. And I was like, well, thank you for sharing. Don't share the stomach bug. and feel better, because the last thing I want is a stomach bug, especially with my kid's graduation, like, around the corner. Like, no, thank you. And, like, I had somebody, like, saying to me recently, like, they couldn't understand why we were still having our daughter mask up, which, FYI, we still wear a mask, and that's not an up for discussion thing. I know I say that every time, but there's always somebody who has something to say because they don't believe in it, or they're against it, or whatever it may be. But also, the main reason that my kid's still wearing a mask is because kids are gross. My kid, your kid, the kid down the street, every kid is gross. Like, have you ever watched children? They'll stick their hands in the dirt, and then stick their hands in their mouth and then touch something else. And now somebody else is picking up that thing and they're like rubbing it on their feet. It's just like gross. That's why kids get sick when they start school. Doesn't matter how many years they've been in school. When their bodies have been on break from being that close quarters with kids all summer long, now you're sitting in a room and you're touching the same thing that 13 other kids are touching, and everybody's snotting on things. It's gross. Anyway, and I used to not be this concerned with germs, but like, kids, man. And then who do you think gets sick when my daughter gets sick? That'd be me. She passes everything to me. My husband somehow has a much stronger immune system than we do. And when he gets taken down hard. But me, like, literally, she, like, looks in my direction and gets me sick. I'm like, cool. And it's been like that since before COVID. So, like, I don't want somebody being like, well, that's because you wear a mask. No, it's not. It's not, because trust me, I still get sick. But anyway, we had the day off on Thursday. So what we were going to do was utilize our time to the best of our ability. So we had books that we had to drop off at the library, and we had books that we had to pick up from the library. I had a couple books on reserve, and we have a library system, so there's multiple libraries in our county, and if the one in our town doesn't have the book, but the one across town does, they can bring it in, as long as there's no holds on it. So we had been waiting for this one book for a while. She's really enjoying the series, and it was like one random book we didn't have. So they let me know that it was finally in, so I went to go pick it up, and I let Briar know, we're going to go to the library, we're going to pick up the book, we're going to drop off the other books, and this is how it's going to work. They have a playroom in the back, and it's absolutely fantastic, and she absolutely loves it, like, more than anything. She loves that playroom, and we set a timer, we picked how much time we thought we would need there, and then we did all of the books. So we spent a half hour, whatever it was, playing in the back room there. And then we picked out our books. We got way more books than I would have normally opted to get because we were going on a road trip. And then I felt really bad making my mother-in-law read. So I ended up reading a couple books on the trip, but now we have like a million more books at home because we didn't get as many read as I thought. Excuse me. Come on. Get out. But she played in that back room. They have a brand new, like, dollhouse, and it had people and furniture, and she was just in heaven. And she did such a good job, you guys. Like, I would tell her, you have X amount of minutes left. She's like, okay. Normally, timers, like, set her off. A lot of people are like, you have to use a timer. It's really great for transitions. And I was like, yeah, unless the timer itself is the thing that's pissing your child off. And then they're not really great tools. And you guys, this was, like, a stretch of so many days of just her really being, like, emotionally mature, being able to express what her needs and wants were, being able to express her feelings and, like, how things were affecting her or bothering her or not bothering her. Like, she did an unbelievable job this past week. And I was so proud of her, like, so proud of her. And then we picked up all these books, and she just had a really wonderful attitude. And again, I let her know, like, when you behave like this is when mommy wants to do more fun things with you. And she's like, oh, okay. But we did that, and then my day kind of got screwed up a little bit because originally I was going to go drop the book off real quick at the library, or pick up the book, and then go do the first pickup order of the day. Again, I mentioned earlier, I had a bra at Target and a bra at Torrid. So Torrid didn't open till noon, so that put a bit of a wrench into our plans, and we had to kind of shift. So what we decided to do was, Brian stayed home to get some work done, and I took her to the library. After the library, we picked him up, and then we all went to Target together. So I pull up to Target, I click the check-in, I'm here, I watch cars next to me getting their stuff, and I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the clock, I'm like, we've been here a really long time. right? And he's like, it seems like it. He ran in the store to get something for himself, and he came out, and I still hadn't gotten my order. And I was like, okay, something's going on. So I was like, you know what? In Harrisburg, there are 2 different Targets. And I was like, for shits and giggles, let me just make sure I'm at the right Target. Guess who went to the wrong Target? Me. That was who. So I was not pleased because now I had to drive 20 minutes to the other Target that, again, each Target is like 25 minutes away from my house. They're just 25 minutes in opposite directions. So it took a while to get to the other one, got there, checked in, got my item, and then I drove up to the mall to get my bra at Torrid. And I was like, all right, you know, now we're getting later in the day. Like, I was hoping that we could get things done early enough that it wouldn't be, it interfered with everything, but it is what it is. Ended up getting both of them. Briar wanted to walk around the mall, so she did. And it ended up, again, being a really nice day, but it was like, I was so mad at myself that I drove all the way to the wrong Target and then was getting pissed. Like, why is nothing happening? And then I called Target because I was like, so I went to the wrong Target and I just want to make sure, like, how do I reset it? How do I, check back in? And they were like, well, how far away are you? I was like, I'm pulling into your parking lot now. So they waited a couple minutes and they sent the guy out and he's like, okay, well, click this, and then say, I'm here. And of course I did, because I didn't know. I mean, it makes sense, but they have a timer. So they have to do their orders in like a timely manner. Makes sense. But I was like, I am so sorry. He's like, it's okay. I'm sure I'm not the only person to do that. Maybe I was that day, but not in general. And so I was like, all right, it is what it is. Our day is just running a little bit longer, and probably not going to have a nap today, but it is what it is. Because again, the next day we were leaving for a road trip, and I needed to get these things taken care of. So Thursday night, I ended up doing like a huge load of laundry. I packed up the suitcases. We made sure Briar's skate stuff was ready. So Friday comes. We took Briar to school. And then we came home. Brian and I go on our weekly breakfast dates on Fridays after we drop her off at school. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It's a really great way for us to like reconnect. And we get a nice little meal out of it. So we did that. We told my mother-in-law to meet us at the house at like 11:20, by 11:30 at the latest, because that's when we leave the house to go pick up Briar from school. And she texted me and basically got to our house like a half hour early. So then we went with her to get gas for the car, make sure we had water bottles in the car, like boring stuff. And then we went to go pick her up from school. On Fridays, immediately after school, we go right from school to McDonald's and then to the rink. We have private lessons on Fridays. So the reason we do that in the order that we do it is we have too much time that if I brought lunch with us and then we ate it in the car, that we would be sitting in the rink parking lot for a really long time. But we have not enough time to actually like stop and get real lunch. So the happy medium is going through the drive-thru. It wastes enough time. And the reason we do breakfast dates on Friday is because I don't eat McDonald's. And we were going week after week after week where I wasn't eating anything for lunch. And then I was like starving by dinner time. And then I finally was like, well, why don't we get some breakfast? And Brian's like, that's a great idea. Let's go get breakfast. And so we now had his mom in the car and we picked her up. We went right to McDonald's. The two of them enjoyed their McDonald's in the back together. And then we had an ice skating lesson. Let me tell you guys, this kid was, if you know anything about ice skating moves, she was doing a spiral, which, it's when they have one foot planted on the ice and the other leg is like, they're almost like T-shaped. And she's been working on this with her coach for a little bit now, but she hasn't been able to really master it on her own. And I don't need her to master it. Let me just rephrase that. But she hasn't even been practicing it on her own. She just waits till she like holds her hand. You guys, she was doing them by herself over and over and over again. Now, a lot of it, like her foot was only at like a 45-degree angle instead of a 90-degree angle, or her leg, I should say. But oh my God, it was so good. And my mother-in-law hasn't seen her skate in like, I don't know, a year. And it was just so heartwarming for her to see it. And she loved it and she had a great time. And then immediately after ice skating, we got on the road. Now, when we got in the car, that baby that we had purchased earlier in the week, I said, put her in Briar's car seat so that when she gets out of skating, the first thing she sees is this baby doll that she's been dying for in her car seat. So she did. Now, I'm telling you, it's a couple 100 miles, but the GPS tells you it's a 5-hour drive. It took significantly longer than 5 hours because we hit a ton of traffic, a ton of construction. And it was also a holiday weekend. So people were traveling and we anticipated it getting busy. So we drove to Albany area in New York to go to our niece's. We weren't there for her actual graduation. It was for her graduation party. But we drove up Friday and we checked into the hotel. Now, by the time because we stopped for dinner, by the time we got to the hotel, it was like 9 o'clock. So I booked the hotel. So I went in to check in. And I'm standing there at the counter, or like waiting behind, like next to the counter. There's one person at the counter being helped. And then there are 2 guys. So there's 3 total employees standing behind the desk. The 2 male employees were doing absolutely nothing. And the female employee was helping the man check in. And every single person that worked at this hotel was wearing like earbuds. Now, I didn't think anything of it, but she was at the counter. She's looking directly at this guy and she's talking, and he like looks perplexed and he answers her and she's like, "Can you please let me finish this conversation?" Nobody knew she was on the phone because she wasn't like, "Oh, excuse me, let me take this." Like nothing. She just was talking. And so I could see like the dude was super uncomfortable. And I'm sitting there like, is anyone going to help me check in? Now it's like 9:20. I've been waiting there about 15, 20 minutes. And finally somebody's like, oh, okay, let's check you in. Okay. Give them my information. They look at me and they go, "You don't have a reservation." Yes, I do. I booked this a while ago. So he's like, "Well, do you have your confirmation then?" Yes, I do. So I pull it up and, then they tell me, so we had 2 rooms and they tell me that they had their system went down and they've been having to manually enter everything. And they were finally able to catch up 3 hours later. Now let's just assume checkout was 4 o'clock or check-in was 4 o'clock. So 4 plus 3 would be 7. Let's give them an extra hour. That would be 8. So it's now almost 9:30 and you still can't figure this stuff out. So you're not caught up. So they tell me they only have 1 room available. No. We paid for 2 rooms. We're getting 2 rooms. Like we can't sleep 3 adults and a child in 1 room. I mean, we could, but like that wasn't ideal for anyone. So, then they tell me, "Well, you're going to have to wait for your second room." And I'm like, of course we will. So my husband gets a luggage cart. He brings everything around, all that fun stuff. We're waiting in the lobby. And I said, "Can somebody please let me know when our other room is going to be available?" And then all of a sudden, the woman who was taking a phone call during check-in, "Oh, ma'am, we have your room available." I'm like, fantastic. Now, I originally had booked 1 king and 1 queen. I would normally, for us, book a room that has 2 beds. Because when we travel, Briar likes to sleep with one of us. And like we've done it before where we sleep in our own bed and then she doesn't want to sleep in her own bed. And we did it once where we had a king bed and we all ended up sleeping together, which, is fine. It's not ideal, but it's fine. And so that's what we were planning on doing, having all of us sleep in one bed together. And I forgot that, and I had said something about like, well, I hope that the 1 room has 2 beds. Like, can you just let me know which room is which? And then I looked at my reservation and I said, oh, I'm sorry, I booked 1 king and 1 queen. So Brian takes his mom up to her room. That drill is yucky. And now, where did it go? Oh, here it is. And he calls me. Now, at this point, I'm in the room with Briar. It is close to 10 o'clock. I am unloading our suitcase. I took all of the toiletries out. I hung up all of our dress clothes, taking the swim stuff out. I've got half the suitcase unpacked. And he's like, this is the room this room has 2 beds in it. And I said, what? So I said, okay. He's like, we're going to come back down. And we'll take the room with 2 beds and mom can take the room with the 1 king bed. Fine. Totally fine with me. I do not care. Like, I'm just trying to get my kid to sleep, We had spent from 2 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the car, basically, with the exception of like stopping for dinner and like gas and things like that. And so I'm in the room and the phone rings. And it's the lady from the front desk. And you can hear her like stuttering about and trying to ask me questions. And I was like, whatever it is, if it's important, can you just ask me whatever it is? I am desperately trying to put my child to bed. And I think what they were trying to have me do is switch rooms, because I think they realized they gave us the wrong room. And they told us they were sold out, completely sold out, which is like, if you're sold out, how come you don't have the rooms that were already paid for and booked available? Not my problem. I don't work there. And then they never contacted me again. So we get up to our room. The entire hallway smells like weed, which you do, you boo. But like when I'm traveling with my family, the last thing I need to do is walk into like a murky hallway.
So when I was outside, if you looked up on our floor, you could see one of the rooms had a window open halfway.
Yeah.
I said to my mom, like, I guarantee you.
Well, part of me wondered, because it was really strong when you got off the elevator and the office for the building was there. Part of me wondered if it was the employees.
Yeah.
Either way, doesn't matter. So we were there, and then we're in our room. And I said to Brian, I was like, am I losing my mind, or is it insanely loud in the hallway? And I don't just mean like there were kids running around, that kind of thing. That's fine. But it was like hours of just doors constantly slamming. And it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, the second night. And I opened the door, and there's housekeeping in the hallway at 10 o'clock, which I find very, very odd. But you know, again, it's not my hotel. I don't work there. But they're just like slamming every single door. And I was like, how disrespectful is this? We've come to find out that this hotel was under different management pre-COVID. They closed because they couldn't handle it with the rules and regulations and the staff, and since then it has not been the same. So the next day we go downstairs for breakfast, which there's a restaurant, and there's no indication of anything, nothing. Like there's no plates, there's no anything. There's an entire youth softball team there, totally fine. You guys do you, have fun. And only then somebody was like, oh yeah, there's plates over there, and I'm like, okay. But we heard other people, after we had already finished eating, they were ordering food off of a menu. Like there was literally no instruction, no anything. And the only person who seemed to have a clue about anything in this hotel was the guy who ran the kitchen. But even still, like they weren't open during the day for food, even though they have an on-site restaurant and a menu and all these things. It was very, very weird. So this is now day 2, and we're trying to figure out breakfast, and I'm like, okay, so we finally get it, and there's like, breakfast is included. So we get eggs, bacon, and home fries. Like, I thought it was weird that there was no toast, no juice, no milk, no fruit, you know, none of that stuff. And it was just very poorly run, and that's fine. But we had told Briar, like, that second day, we'll take her to the pool. So somebody in the restaurant had said to us, you know, if you guys want to use the pool, make sure you tell them up front that they have to turn the heat on. And I'm like, they don't have the heat on? And she's like, well, they turn it off when there's nobody there. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about pools, but like pools don't heat up quickly. So we let them know, hey, you know, we're going to be going swimming. Could you guys turn the heat on? And the guy's like, yeah, give it about 20, 30 minutes. And I was like, okay. So at that point, it was about an hour. So we get there, the pool, when I tell you guys, it was ice cold. Like the drinking water was warmer than the pool. It was freezing. And I went back up front and I said, excuse me, you know, I asked like an hour ago if the heat could be turned on. And it was the same guy who ignored me at checkout, and he was like stomping his feet and basically throwing an adult temper tantrum. Like, I'm sorry that I'm asking you to do your job. Like, I'm not sorry, but like, you know, and I'm not being mean or aggressive. Like, I'm just simply asking if you can turn the heat on. So they go in there, and to put this into perspective, this is after breakfast. There are 3 towels available after we took towels for the 3 of us. So nobody is upkeeping the place. Nobody is emptying the dirty towels. The pool, he's like, it is on, ma'am. And I was like, okay, well, it is freezing in here. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And like, I was talking to him, and he literally looked at me, turned around and walked away while I was still talking to him. I was livid because I'm paying for a hotel that has breakfast and a swimming pool. Those are 2 of the things that we look for when we travel. I know everybody has their own things that they look for. Like, I like Wi-Fi, breakfast, and swimming pools. Parking is great if it's included. you know, like when we go to Baltimore, parking's not included in anything, but it's like, oh, you get a discounted rate? Sure, okay. So it's just really frustrating that I was like, why is it seeming like nobody cares about anything here? And it just kept going downhill. The water pressure sucked. We couldn't get our TV to work for a little bit. We couldn't get the air conditioning to work for a little bit. And I'm just like, how is a hotel that looks this beautiful, this poorly run? And it's a testament to like, if something can look beautiful from the outside and just be complete disaster on the inside. And it was so incredibly frustrating. And then my mother-in-law was complaining about like she couldn't get the coffee maker to work and like all these things. And, you know, originally we were supposed to have rooms near each other so like Briar could go hang out with her grandmother for a little bit. So, you know, my husband and I could, even if we just sat and did absolutely nothing, just have a little bit of alone time because we never get it. Well, we weren't even on the same floor, so it wasn't something we could do. And it just kept going downhill. And I was really upset that like, you know, I spent a decent amount of money on a hotel for it to have a pretty lackluster experience. And like, when I tell you, like, there was a water cooler in the lobby, so I was like, okay, well, I'll fill my tumbler up on our way out. Didn't work. Coffee in the kitchen area, it wasn't warm. Like, it was like, do you guys even care at all? Like, there was not a vending machine for drinks anywhere. Nowhere. There was a Red Bull machine, and that was it. So this is now Saturday, so we go to our niece's graduation party. It was absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to her. She just graduated with her bachelor's in English, I believe, and worked really hard. She's you know, honor student, and it was really, really nice. We don't get to see that part of the family very often because they do live 300 miles away or whatever it is. And, the kids are getting older and, you know, it's not as much fun when you're in your 20s to hang out with your 5-year-old cousin. But they had a swing set up from like when the kids were little, and Briar, like, no lie, spent the entire day on the swing set. Just, hey, listen, if it helps regulate her, go for it. Of course I got super sunburnt. And then on the way home, Sunday we checked out and we decided to all go to breakfast together. And I was like, is that going to be a smart idea on Mother's Day? Went to this like diner-esque place. Another family member who I have zero relation to was there, and like everything was a complaint. The bacon was too floppy. The air was too cold. I had to wait too long. I didn't get a cup of water even though I didn't order it. Like, just everything was a complaint. And I was like, cool. Like, I had a friend say to me, like, oh, did you guys do anything nice for Mother's Day? And I was like, well, we were traveling. And that's fine. Like, I have no problem that we spent our Mother's Day traveling. But I don't really want to spend Mother's Day listening to somebody else bitch and complain for hours on end. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then we sat in the car and drove home for 6 hours. And it was a really lovely trip, and I'm really glad we did it. I'm just frustrated with how the hotel was and having to deal with that woman, which that's as far as I'm going information-wise on that woman. But it's just really frustrating when, like, I'm just trying to have a nice time with my family. And I'm in a hotel that's not making it conducive for us to do that. And then we were driving home, and first of all, New York, what's up with your rest areas? So we get to this one rest area, and it says there's a convenience store and bathrooms. All right, well, we stopped for a potty break, and this is going to be my last little story. We stop, we have a little potty break, we go into the convenience store. My daughter says she wants something to eat. Of course she does. So she grabs a pack of Oreos. My husband, I said to the lady at the front desk, hey, do you guys not have water anywhere? There's a water cooler outside in the hallway. Like, as if I was supposed to know that all your sodas and energy drinks are inside, but your water is outside. So Brian grabbed 3 bottles of water. Briar put up her Oreos, and I had like a moon pie. And they're ringing me out, and it's like $25. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? The Oreos were almost $7 for 4 Oreos, whatever it was. I was like, absolutely not. And I am not a cheap person, but I am not spending that kind of money when I could pull off the highway and buy like an entire giant pack of Oreos for that price. Even cheaper than that. I understand the water was expensive because like, where else was I going to get it? So they also rang up my snack for nearly $4 when it was labeled as like $1.49. And I think that they just thought I wasn't going to notice it. So I told Briar, I said, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm not spending that much money on a pack of Oreos. And it's not like she didn't have other snacks in the car. She just wanted that. And it wasn't even she was attached to the Oreos. It's just that's the thing she saw when she said, I'm hungry. And then it turned into one of those situations where I had to like physically carry my daughter out of the rest area, because she's now throwing herself on the floor, kicking and screaming, and completely just end of the world. And they're looking at me, and I just paid for the water, which was still $15 for 3 bottles of water, and I was blown away. But that's it. That's all I've got for you guys. Since we've made it to the end, if you made it all the way here, leave me some sort of water or flower emoji in honor of the water debacle or Mother's Day. You're choosing. You can do both, whatever it is. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you'd like to see videos like this, or, you know, nothing like this at all, please make sure to give this video 2 thumbs up. One real life, one virtual. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Come, join the Sparkle Squad. And while you're there, hit that notification bell.
Ding.
I do not operate on any sort of schedule. I operate on toddler standard time, and I record when my tiny human is sleeping or sleeping. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys!